Welcome to our Contemporary Teaching and Learning Video Showcase. This is our team, Reema Ahmad, Janelle Ahmet, Emily Hodge, Shayana Rafiq and Alicia Sharma. We have chosen the strand Intercultural Understanding, and through this project we aim to develop and expand student thinking and create culturally responsive and reflective practices.
Intercultural understanding provides educators and students with knowledge and understanding about diverse cultures and pedagogical methods that are culturally responsive. The project base will be aimed at Sefton High School, which is located in Western Sydney. Sefton High School provides students with many support services but fails to provide teacher awareness or knowledge on culturally responsive pedagogical practices. We know that cultural values and beliefs shape students' learning and understanding. Therefore, our research proposal aims to enhance teaching and learning in a culturally diverse classroom through the 8 Ways framework.
Overall, we aim to improve culturally responsive pedagogical practices to allow learning equity in culturally diverse classrooms and achieve the following goals. To welcome the vast cultural differences of students at Sefton High School and discuss the history and progression of multiculturalism in Australia to ensure an inclusive setting. Teachers will develop understanding of the linguistic backgrounds of other students at Sefton High School and how to implement culturally responsive pedagogical practices. To identify and understand cultural nuances such as specifics in language, practices, beliefs, readings and social norms. To relate specific learning to various methodologies and practices used in other cultures, and to develop intercurricular essential skills in collaboration and communication which will aid in student learning outcomes.
As a school community, we have opted to focus on culturally inclusive practices within the 8 Ways framework. So to recap, a culturally inclusive classroom is one where students and staff alike recognise, appreciate and capitalise on diversity so as to enrich the overall learning experience. Fostering a culturally inclusive learning environment encourages all individuals, regardless of their differences, to develop relationships and effective intercultural skills that are universal in their application. I would like to remind you that culturally inclusive practices can be divided into 2 types, one that is tangible and one that is intangible, which includes beliefs, opinions and assumptions. But the essential component is knowing your students and their interests because it creates a human connection and allows for mutual respect and collaboration in the classroom. This directly links in with AITSL Standard 1.1, Know Your Students and How They Learn. The main framework we have incorporated these elements into our project is 8 Ways of Learning, which employs Indigenous ways of learning to respond to the diverse cultural needs in the classroom. Research suggests that students engage at a deeper level and achieve at a higher level when strategies such as these ones discussed are employed by teachers. I would like to know how you are incorporating these elements in your classroom and what benefits you have seen.
Interlinking the 8-Way framework to the KLA of English can be achieved by providing students with options. For example, students can be given a written text in addition to a visual representation of the text for learning. This can be in a form of a poem alongside correlation with a picture book. Resources for achieving this include books like The Lost Girl and The Rabbits by Sean Tan. This allows differentiation of learning through written and visual analysis, which is a culturally responsive pedagogical practice. Research argues that intercultural education and differentiation of instructions share a common philosophy that aims to provide all students with the opportunity to learn. Additionally, students can be provided with options of visual or written expression when composing personal reflections of their own world in comparison to text. Sefton High School accommodates for 1% of students that come from Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander backgrounds. Therefore, culturally responsive pedagogies such as visual learning and links to the land will enhance Aboriginal student learning. The example lessons use intercultural understanding of Aboriginal culture and beliefs in comparison to students' own world, allowing students to be personally engaged with the content or interlinked with the 8-Way framework.
Implement intercultural communication in school lessons through applying the 8-Way framework in the discipline of science. In science lessons and activities, we can provide students with choices of topics or subtopics within activities to add interest in lessons, and furthermore collaborative learning with peers to enhance social learning in the classroom. Students will be focusing on the topic Earth and Space, investigating a selected culture and researching how it has contributed to our scientific understanding today about the solar system. Students can include evidence and cultural theories, which can also help us understand underlying beliefs. Resources students can use in aiding their research can include ICT. Additionally, working on a more collaborative approach, students are able to interpret and intensify the social interaction through culturally responsive teaching. Sefton High School is rich in student multicultural diversity, which is essential for educators to implement culturally responsive pedagogical practices to allow for cultural inclusivity in the classroom.
Providing students with an avenue to see a wider picture of cultural diversity and race through independent research can implement the 8-way pedagogical practice into a history classroom. Additionally, students will exchange information amongst one another, which creates an intense interest in the topic that interlinks with engagement. Students conduct a group research-based project, which requires students to investigate cultural, social, economical and religious values and beliefs of people. Scaffolded questions provide students with structure to a project, and the extended response requires students to connect the research information to their own world, allowing evaluation and intercultural understanding and learning outcomes. Lastly, collaborative learning builds an inclusive and respectful climate where students can feel respected and comfortable to present their views and understanding, as well as learning about diverse cultural experiences.
The first method of data collection will involve one-on-one teacher interview, which could be conducted in 2 different stages. During stage 1, teachers within the targeted area of science, English and history will be interviewed and asked to provide a feedback on the project implementation and also to discuss their personal view on differentiation, inclusive learning and their influence on the students. In stage 2, the second interview will be conducted to gain a better understanding of the project progress and how it led the students to improve their intercultural awareness. A second data collection will be obtained by student surveys, as a student will be completing 2 different sets of surveys. The first surveys will be applied at the start of the project to obtain information on the students' background knowledge and their current understanding of intercultural awareness. Following the completion of the project, students will be participating in a second surveys containing items designed using numerical scales format to draw on their personal and post-project intercultural awareness and also evaluate how the project led them to develop a positive attitude and become resilient, communicative and cooperative people, both individually and as a group. The third measurement will be obtained by using teacher observation, as teachers will be observing other classroom and recording the initial environment of implementing the project, and then a second classroom observation will be taken to determine if student culture awareness and understanding have improved as a result of completing the project. On top of that, students within this who participated on the project will be participating in a non-formative assessment and class discussion to discuss and evaluate and examine if the new prospective student have achieved the project potential and how it helped them to develop a positive culture understanding and awareness. Toward the end of the project implementation all collected data will be reviewed by the teachers to determine whether implementation of project created a change within classrooms and ultimately achieved its full potential to be distributed across the school and other regions.
Implement our proposed intervention over a 10-week period. In week 1, we aim to plan our units for the work of the curriculum areas of science, history and English. In the second week, the pre and post interviews and surveys will be conducted for both teachers and students. Pre-surveys for students and pre-interviews for teachers will be conducted simultaneously during the third week. The constructed units will be taught over a 3-week period over weeks 4, 5 and 6, at which time teacher observations will also be conducted. After unit delivery, students will undertake a summative assessment task which will be administered to the students for them to complete in week 7. Post-interviews for teachers and post-surveys for students will be conducted in week 8, and the data obtained from these interviews and surveys will be analysed over week 9 for distribution in the 10th week.
Self-assessment can aid in areas which show weaknesses or the need for further improvement. Within our proposed intervention, recycling or reviewing lesson plans can also improve student learning and outcomes. Also, allowing other teachers to take observations of such lessons can help with misinterpretations that you may not be aware of. Secondly, utilizing Bloom's taxonomy, we can assess the validity of projects and culturally responsive pedagogical practices. If we use Bloom's taxonomy in our suggested intervention, this can evaluate the processes within the project for successful further continuity. If we were to follow through with our suggested intervention, we would be able to see improvements in student culture, academic and intellect, inclusive of the application of reflection and evaluation of student assessment. Thirdly, looking at professional development for educators. Educators can strategically use reflection as a tool for self-development. This will further improve their teaching practices by reflecting on lessons, assessments, or self-image as an educator. In our proposed intervention, we have implemented pre- and post-surveys for students and teachers based on their current understanding and knowledge of cultural awareness. After undertaking this intervention, both students and teachers are able to reflect back and distinguish if the intervention has been successful.